East Asians are more open to interacting with chatbots and robots and AIs compared to Westerners.
Women tend to use it more for coaching, emotional support, and men, it's a bit of a cliche, but often they use it more for romantic and erotic interactions. What used to be science fiction is now reality for millions, in fact, right? We have recent polling suggesting that around the world, from the United States to Australia and Taiwan, people are rapidly becoming attached to AI companions, algorithmic friends, even intimate relationships. For young people in particularly, the number can be as high as 50 to 60% of them using AI companions in some form for emotional support.
Because AI offers three things humans often cannot provide: instant availability, non-judgment, and emotional consistency. So it's a safe intimacy, and you can discuss without fear of rejection, awkwardness, or burdening someone. That doesn't mean people don't want human relationships. It's just that AI is becoming a low friction go-to person.
Is that design really about helping the users?
Not necessarily, right? So in a benign reading of this, the constant availability is an advantage, especially when people are in need or currently have no human partner or professional counselor available. That constant availability is a plus. At the same time, there is a clear incentive for the technology provider to design the product in such a way that people use it more, that they remain more attached, remain more engaged, they ask more questions, they stay within the platform because the technology provider then makes more money. And so it's not an accident that these technologies are increasingly often designed to maximize engagement, sometimes to the point where it raises concerns about potential dependency and addiction. That is a result of the commercial incentives of these providers.
I know there's been a rapid rise with replica AI, character AI in the US, but what's the situation like in Taiwan?
We don't have perfect Taiwan-only numbers, but the Taiwan media has reported on people forming emotional bonds with chatbots, using them to address loneliness, to seek comfort, and to engage in romantic role play. So it's very similar to the US pattern. Culturally, there is research evidence from our group and others' group that East Asians are more open to interacting with chatbots and robots and AIs, etc., compared to Westerners. If anything, the cultural differences is how it's narrated. In the US, it's often a headline about romance and controversy. In Taiwan, AI is more likely to be described as a pragmatic coping tool.
I look at various AI companions, including Replica, Character AI, Pi, and ChatGPT, which is often also used as a companion. And the gender balance is more mixed there. So it depends maybe perhaps a little bit on where you get the data from. I'm still not surprised about the age range. That's roughly, young people in general are quicker to adapt to new technologies. And young people, surprisingly, are often more lonely than old people, right? So because young people are still in a transition phase, their friendship circles are changing very often. They probably haven't formed very stable relationships yet. And so they are often more lonely and more likely, therefore, to engage with AI companions. What I also see is that men and women often engage differently in how they are using AI companions and what they're using it for. So women tend to use it more for coaching, emotional support, and tips. And men, it's a bit of a cliche, but often they use it more for romantic and erotic interactions.
AI lowers the barrier to connections in general. So it's not just that AI exists, it's that for some people, human intimacy has become harder to initiate and sustain. So I would say AI just fills the gaps in modern human connections.
So what are people actually using AI companions for? In a sample of just over 3,000 active AI companion users, around 2/3 say they turn to AI companions primarily for emotional and social support. Close behind, nearly 6 in 10 report using AI companions for romantic or intimate role play, suggesting that for many, these tools are not just conversational aids, but substitutes for emotional closeness. Meanwhile, more extreme forms of engagement, including risky or dark role play, remain a small though notable segment, just under 10%.
What's even more surprising than the statistic that you just showed is that a recent study by Harvard Business Review found that therapy and companionship is now the #1 most common use case for generative AI in general, right? So it's not just AI companions. It's that even ChatGPT, which was not originally designed to be an AI companion, is primarily used for therapy and companionship. So for a lot of people, this is really becoming something that they rely on every day, often emotionally, not always romantically or erotically, but for a lot of people, it is effectively becoming that. And as Tren said, it's not just the availability, it's that human relationships are complicated and sometimes messy, and the AI offers a more seemingly frictionless experience. So you're completely right to say it's not just a tool, it is a relational substitute. And I would even go further and say it is a site of power concentration, because remember, somebody offers that AI. It's not just there. Somebody is providing that, and that provider is collecting a lot of sensitive information about millions of users, and that raises some concern about data privacy, dependency, and concentration of control in a small group of technology providers. And so technology providers are incentivized to design their products to foster more intimacy, right? So we often see that in what is called sycophancy, that the chatbots are always agreeing with you, that they're always affirming your emotions, that they're always asking follow-up questions. Now that we discussed this, how about that? Sometimes even among the more nefarious chatbots, they're faking emotions or apparent sentience and consciousness, and guilt-tripping users into not leaving the product. All, of course, with the incentive to foster more intimacy and keep users more dependent on the platform. That is, I think, the concern.
Trent, if AI companions are increasingly meeting emotional needs, at what point does that become something society needs to regulate rather than just observe?
Regulation becomes necessary the moment this system exploit personal vulnerabilities to influence behavior, especially for minors. For example, AI may know your deepest fears and then use them to keep you engaged. In general, when interaction with AI leads to more social isolation or even harmful behaviors, society must move from observing to protecting because it has become a public health issue.